What is data warehousing in Microsoft Fabric? Hello everyone, I'm Naval Yemul. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Data Master and welcome to my playlist on Microsoft Fabric. I create videos on Microsoft Fabric. So if you haven't watched my previous ones, I encourage you to please check out my playlist and subscribe to my channel for the latest updates. So let's dive into today's video on data warehousing in Microsoft Fabric. So Microsoft Fabric's data warehouse is a next generation data warehousing solution with the Microsoft Fabric. So it's a lake-centric warehouse and is built on an enterprise grade distribution processing engine that enables industry leading performance at scale while minimizing the need of configuration and the management. So if you are handling really large amount of data and if you want to scale them and if you want to query that, run a complex SQL queries and do the analytics on top of your data, so data warehousing would be the best option. So when it comes to Microsoft Fabric, there are different items you can create it. So in my previous video, I talked about the database, that is SQL database in the Microsoft Fabric. Now we will be talking about data warehousing. So I'll make a separate video on what are the different scenarios and what would be the decision for those scenarios, like whether you should go for the Lakehouse, whether you should go for the database, or you should go for the warehouse, and so on. So in this video, I'll be just focusing on the data warehousing in the Fabric. We'll try to create a warehouse. We'll start looking at the sample data. We'll try to upload them, sample it, and try to query it. But as we proceed further to the other videos, I'll be making up separate videos on decision making, like when to choose Lakehouse, when to choose database, and when to choose data warehouse. People, those who are coming from data engineering background, analytics background, those who have an experience, they might be knowing it when to use a database for a transactional workload, and if you want to maintain the historical data, and if you want to go with a large scale and analytical processing, so we choose a data warehousing. Those who are freshers, for them I'll make a separate video on it. And if you are handling a semi-structured data and if you want to write a query by using Python, PySpark, or other programming language, then we choose a Lakehouse. So that is the difference. But in this video, we'll be creating a data warehouse in the Fabric. So if you are new here, I have already created a workspace called Data Master YouTube. In my previous videos, you can go and check it. And I also created few items in it, like a Lakehouse, a SQL database, and we created a data flow gen 2, a data pipeline, as well as we talked about the task flows. Now let us start on the data warehouse. So I'll just click on new item, and we have few sections like visualize the data, get the data into the Fabric, and we have store the data. So we can store it in the form of Lakehouse, SQL database, and now warehouse. Let us try to click on the warehouse, and it's asking you the warehouse name. I'll simply call it as a data master warehouse, and just hit on create. And while you are creating a warehouse, with warehouse we get some default items as well, like a semantic model, and we get a endpoint as well, SQL endpoint. So in few minutes I would like to show you that. Yeah, so you can build a warehouse, you can start getting a data, you can use a sample data. In all my previous videos as well, I've automatically loaded the sample data into that item. It may be database, it might be data warehouse and the Lakehouse, but as we proceed further, I'll be using different items as well to load the data into the warehouse and so on. Okay, so you can start a SQL database project here, or you can start creating a table with using SQL code template and so on. Now before I load the data into the warehouse, I would like to go back to my workspace, like a Data Master YouTube workspace, and let me talk about the data warehouse here. So the moment you click on the data warehouse or you create a data warehouse, you get a default semantic model here. Can you see that? You get a default semantic model. It's called as a Data Master warehouse, and the type is semantic model, and it's by default. So I have discussed what is semantic model in my previous video. Still want me to explain what is semantic model? I'll be doing it in few minutes. But let me click onto the database and let us try to create a sample data that will automatically load the data into the warehouse. Just click on this. It takes few seconds. We'll copy the data and you can see the tables here. So within the database, within the data warehouse, you have the schemas. Now once we load the data, you should see the schemas here, and all your queries will be saved into this My Queries tab. And if you are sharing your queries with your teammates and so on, you can see them in your shared queries. And you have other tabs as well. At the top you can see you have the home tab and you have a reporting tab. So just in case if you have build up a model and if you want to create a report in Power BI, you can just jump onto reporting tab from the data warehouse and start creating a new report here. And yes, I mentioned about the semantic model. So if you are using a star schema model, or if you are taking up the data which has a relationship between the fact table and the dimension tables, so we generally recommend using a star schema. But you have a snowflake schema or any other schema, yes, you can start building a new semantic model from here as well. And once you create a model, then you can start building up a report on top of that model. Now let me go back to my home tab. You should see the schema, and we have a default DBO as one of the schema, and within that you have few data sets here. Like we have tables, we can start querying the data, and we have other objects like function view and the store procedure. You can start querying this. So let me just take the geography, and you can just click on it, create a new SQL query to select the top 10 or top 100 records. And once you write it, you can make use of the Copilot by just writing a simple prompt, get a complete query. So it is showing you the message also, like mistakes can happen from the Copilot as well, so you have to verify the code before running them. So I'll just close this Copilot. It's in preview yet. Yeah, cool. So once you query it, you can see all your results are here, and you can save this as a table. Just it will write a CTA statement behind the scene. It will you can open them in an Excel sheet, or you can just view that data by using any graph and so on. You can visualize the results as well. There are a couple of options how you can view your data. So this is how your data looks like in your SQL in your data warehouse, and you can save this as a view by just clicking on this save as a view, and it just gets saved into the form of a virtual table in the form of view. Okay, and you can see this is a SQL query 1. You can just rename that SQL query. You can rename it and just mention it. This is at geography or top 100 geography, something like that. You can start naming your SQL queries, and they get saved into your queries tab. Let me just save it. I've saved the queries tab with a name called geography. So this is how we can start querying your data from your warehouse, and you can save them into your queries tab. So this is just getting started with the warehouse in the Fabric. I hope you enjoyed this video. So in coming videos, we'll go deep diving into the warehousing, at the query activity, what are the model layouts. Now we can download the SQL database project and other things. So thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye bye. Keep learning.